Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Vancouver Rain Draft to Glory franchise mode here in MLB The Show 23. So in last episode, we had another offseason and we finished up year 9. Well, you guys didn't see the offseason portion because my Elgato screwed up, but at least you saw the rest of the year 9 sim, and it was our best season yet, and it was also a pretty good offseason in a sense for us because we did manage to re-sign Giancarlo Sixto on a massive deal. Obviously, we're kind of overpaying him a little bit, I'd say. But I think he's imperative for this team to have for years to come because he's a 95 overall and he's got insane hitting. Eventually, I could see this guy definitely being a player that leads the league in contact hitting because look at that stat line. The power hitting is also pretty good, so if he could develop that a little bit more, he should start to hit home runs as well. That discipline's great, the clutch, he should always be batting a 290, my guess, like he's been doing for the last 3 seasons at least. He might even get into the 300 range sometime soon too. So very excited for the upcoming season because I think this is going to be one of our best seasons yet. It should be, because based on paper, if we look at our lineup right now, I did adjust everything already. You can see that we have Trevino, we have Pip, who are pretty solid, we have Sixto, obviously, who was great, Cardenas, who's great, Gentleman, who had a good year last year, hopefully he could build upon that. Pinheiro was a little bit of a low overall, but he had a fantastic season last year. As you can see, he batted to 276, so hopefully he could put up the same type of numbers again this season. We also have Steiner, who kind of had a rough year last year, but hopefully he builds upon that this year. We have Pineda, who's going to be making his first MLB start this season. He's already up to a 77, and we also did up his potential, which I'll talk to you guys about that in a little bit. Also, Steve Schneider is in the lineup, and Schneider obviously is not really that great batting average-wise, but he does pick up a fair amount of home runs and some RBIs, so he should help out the offense a little bit. And then we obviously have our bench with Cuero, we have Cross, we have Fletcher Hoffman, we have Bill O'Donnell, and yeah, that's basically our players that are in our lineup for hitting-wise. So hitting-wise, I think this is definitely our best roster we've had. Obviously, we do have still a lot of low-end talent, kind of like Steiner is kind of a low overall player, same with Pinheiro, but Pinheiro should do really good at this level still because of the fact that he's got that good contact hitting, and he was actually really good last season. The only one I'm kind of worried about is Steiner. I also feel like Bill Pineda is not going to be that much of a hitter, but he should be a good guy for speed on the base paths. He also has okay power versus right-handed pitchers, so I'm hoping that he can maybe pick up a few home runs this season as well and be a solid defensive player in the outfield. That'd be good. And then if we go to our pitching rotation, I did actually make some changes already as well at this point in time. As you can see, we have Garth Howe obviously as our starter because he's going to be our ace for a very, very long time. We also have Gary McAllister still. But Darren Poles, Brian Morris, and Bobby Hyde are all going to get a chance to play this year. Obviously, I could always send Bobby Hyde back down to AAA if he's not that good after spring training, but I think the 3 of these guys definitely need an opportunity to play. Obviously, it's all right-handed pitchers, but we don't have any left-handers yet. Osuna is the only left-hander really that I could think of, and he is going to be at least 1 to 2 years out, my guess. But Darren Poles is going to get a chance. He only has C potential, so might as well give him a chance. This is also his max overall, and kind of the same boat with Brian Morris. Both of them are C potential 75 overall, so might as well give him an opportunity to play at the MLB level and see how they do. While Bobby Hyde, he has B potential, so he'll get a little bit higher. I think his potential's in the low 80 range, if I'm not mistaken, so it should be interesting to see what he does this season as well. So, and he's also from California, just like Garth Howe, so who knows, maybe we'll have a California pairing in a sense, because maybe Howe will be number 1, maybe Hyde will be number 3 at some point. That'd be kind of interesting if Hyde was number 3, and then obviously Osuna should be number 2 down the road. I don't know how long Gary's here for because he's probably on the decline, my guess, considering he's already 28. But that is that. Let me get into a few comments, and then we will get ready to get into this spring training and see how our team does in spring training. Then we'll get obviously through a good chunk of the season. We'll also scout out this upcoming draft, which hopefully it's a good draft again for us because we do have the 5th overall pick for the 2nd straight year. So hopefully we can find another good player in this draft for us because we are definitely going to need to still keep adding good prospects even if we have a good team right now, just because obviously we want to be good for a decent chunk of time and not just randomly fall off a cliff. But anyways, the first comment we got is from Nick Buckerbarons OC. He says, Nick's farm system stock watch. So this is basically all the players he wanted me to upgrade and downgrade, which I already went ahead and did. So basically for +3 upgrades, he wanted Sparbory, Francisco, Pineda, Ollinger, Kellenberger, and Ponce. So good to see a bunch of starting pitchers in that +3 for him. He also had in the +1, he had Silva, Murillo, Guzman, McMahon, Groves, and Chu. So those guys all went up by 1 potential. And then in terms of the negatives, we have a couple guys. We have Todd Davies, we have Rafael Rodriguez, Brian Morris, who's in our lineup now, Sandy Gomez, who's down in AAA, I think, Brad Thornton, Pete Tavares. And then for the -3s, Norman Pena, who is definitely not going to make it because this guy already had D potentials. So yeah, this guy's definitely not going to make it. Who knows, maybe he retires young too, but at least he has an okay overall, so he'll be able to be used still in AAA, but he is not very good of one. And then also Alfredo Seguera dropped down by 3, which makes a lot of sense because Seguera has been a pretty mediocre player, and I don't see him developing into that beat potential considering he's already 25, but you never know, he might be just a random guy that makes it at like 34 years old or something like that, but I don't see him making it anytime soon. And then we also have Nick's comment about the MLB players that need to be changed. So he says +5 will be named the Cardenas Award if someone accomplishes it again. Ozzy Cardenas gets a +5 because of the milestone and the consistency, which I totally agree with. He was insane last year, so he got a +5 boost, which means now he is an A potential player. So it's crazy to see how he went from a C potential all the way to an A potential in the span of those 6 years that he's been playing in the MLB. So yeah, he got a big boost, but there won't be a lot of +5s, is what Nick was telling me. He said that basically that it would be like very not often that happens, so we won't be upping a lot of players by +5, but Cardenas deserved the +5, so that's what he got. He also says +3 to Lake, which I didn't do because Lake already had like a 97 potential, so I thought that was fair enough. Antoine Trevino got a +3 boost, and George Pinheiro as well. And then in terms of the +1s, we got Pip and Cross. And -1 wise, we got Jake Birch, Ken Robert, Gary Steiner, Steve Schneider, and Fletcher Hoffman. So those guys all dropped off by 1. And then Montero was dropped down by 3 points for his potential, because let's be real, this guy's not going to turn out to be anything. His numbers in the MLB have been terrible. It sucks that he was an A potential player at one point, but he's just not really developed into that type of guy. And then also Nick was mentioning, because I guess he still thought I had Raymond on the team. He said though that -5 is the Lindsey Raymond Award. So basically anybody that does drastically terrible in a season, if they get a -5, they're basically like Lindsey Raymond, which is true because Lindsey Raymond was terrible here. I did let him go in the off season of last episode. So you guys would not have seen that, but yeah, basically if anybody on this team does drastically bad, we will give them the Lindsey Raymond Award, which is kind of a funny name for it. So there is that. And then we have our final comment, which is from Dylan Burrows. He says, use Silva as a reliever and stick him in AAA. If he cracks 75, give 75, move to the MLB. So he's saying to use Silva more as a reliever, which at the moment I don't think I'm going to do that, because obviously we need to have an A starting pitcher as well, because he would be a great player to have in our top 3 rotation. I don't see him being used as a reliever just yet, unless he absolutely struggles once he becomes a starter in the MLB. So I think I'm going to wait a few more years still on him, because he's a 72 at 23. So I think 1 to 2 more seasons would be good for him in AAA, and then he should be hopefully ready for the MLB and ready to play in maybe like a 5th role or something like that in the rotation. So there is that, and that was the comments I got in last episode. So let's start off this episode first with a contract extension, because I was talking also to like Nick and also Crazy G. It's pronounced not Crazig. Sorry about that, Crazy G. But yeah, we were talking about like potential like contract extensions. You guys were saying basically to wait on like Gelman and Pinheiro and stuff like that. So, well, at least on Gelman, Pinheiro and Steiner, those guys are going to be relatively cheap for the next few years still. But Dennis Lake is one guy we need to probably lock up, because he is a really good closer for us so far. And yeah, he's basically going to be a free agent within the next few years. So I am going to lock him up, I think, on a 5-year deal. And we are going to make this front-loaded as well, so that way it gets cheaper and cheaper each year. And we're going to knock this all the way up to, I think we're going to give him like 64.5, which is basically an average annual salary of 12.9 a season, which is not too bad considering if you look at the other good closers around the league, the best closers are making like at the most 17 million a season. So I think this is a good contract for him, and basically we'll have a good closer locked up as well for quite some time. So let's do this deal. 5 years at 64.5. Will he accept this? You don't want to be locked into a contract for that long. What if I gave you a little bit more money? Because you do need to be locked up for a contract that long there, Dennis. You're a key part of this team's future. We do have some closing pitchers, but nobody as good as Dennis in the league. So I'll continue to up the price a little bit. That sucks. 65.5. I will get you to accept regardless there, Dennis. Let's crank this up to 67. 13.4 a year is still not really that bad. So 67? A short contract is better. Well, I disagree there. 68. Come on, Dennis. I'll give you 69 for the memes. There we go. Okay, well, we got him signed for a little bit more than I was hoping for, but at least we got him back. He didn't want to be locked into a long-term contract, but now he's signed for a good chunk of time, and yeah, he's going to be a relatively affordable player because he's kind of at the contract pace, like I said, as other closing pitchers. This season he still makes 2.7, but next year he's going to make 17, which is what most closers at that overall make, and then it's going to get less and less each season, and by the last season he'll make only $10 million, which is not really that bad. So, and he'll be 30 by then, which he should hopefully be starting to not necessarily decline by then, but hopefully he's not going to be demanding as much money by that point. But that's a pretty good signing, I'd say, for this team's future. Having a good closer is always important to close out those tight games. So there we go on that front. Let's go through spring training and see how our youngsters like Hyde do, because I am curious on Hyde's numbers before I decide to keep him in the MLB or not. And wow, we're having a good spring training. We finished 16 and 11 in spring training, so that's a much better spring training than I was actually expecting. Then again, we have our pretty much MLB roster at this point in time. So let me take a look at how Hyde did in terms of the stat line in spring training. It doesn't even show it on the screen. I want to see the quality starts and all that, but the ERA is a little high, same with the whip, but I mean, he had 29 strikeouts through 24 innings, so he was pretty good in terms of throwing some strikeouts. I do like that. 1-1 record. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep him up here for now because I do like the strikeout factor, because obviously Garth Howe is also a strikeout thrower, so it'd be nice to have a couple strikeout throwers, so I think I'm going to keep it like that. I think I'm going to keep our lineup the same. So let's advance to the regular season. There we go. Let's make sure our pitching rotations are set up properly in triple and double A's. So for double A, we do need Murillo in because Murillo is a starting pitcher. Tommy Parsons is a closer, so I obviously don't want him there. We do need Cora in. Manny Colon is also a starter, and we have a lot of starters down here. Who has the lowest stamina? Probably Rangel is one of them, right? So we'll have Soto as the ace down there. Rangel. I want to make sure this is all set up properly because we're getting in that stage where we need to have the most important players in the spots. Yeah, I think I might use Francisco and Rangel as relievers because they're, because their stamina is a little bit lower than like Colon. I think that's what I'll do with it. We'll keep Francisco actually as a starter. Actually, it might be good to have Rangel as a starter in a sense because he is a left-hander, so we kind of have a good mix and match. But and I'm going to keep Rangel as a reliever, I think. So there is double A. Triple A wise, I want to make sure we have our pitchers in properly. So Sparbori should be in. Silva needs to be in for sure because Silva has the potential. Millie Montero got sent back down. I don't know if I did that or not. I might actually have to make sure my lineup is still set up the way I had it. I thought it was going to pop up and tell me to make some changes, but Sammy Gomez, I do need the Carmen Osuna in there. Osuna is more important than like Sparbori and stuff like that. I'm going to take Montero out of the starters because Montero hasn't been a good starter at the MLB level, so let's go with Gomez, Silva, Osuna. That's actually a pretty nice triple right there. Taveras is a reliever, same with Ponce. Yeah, the rest of this looks good. So there's our rotation down. Actually, yeah, we'll keep it like that. So there's our rotation down in AAA. Let me just basically check our MLB lineup as well. Actually, yeah, I'm not going to do anything with the actual lineup itself. I think the AI will set that up properly. But let me go back to the pitching rotation to make sure our MLB stuff is still the way I had it. Looks good. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good to me. I already did assign the training, I think, when I was in the middle of recording, or after I finished recording. So that's all good to go. And I think we're ready to start simulating some of the season and scouting out the draft. We are now the 27th ranked team, so we aren't as bad as we were the last few years. Our contact is up to 18th, which is nice. Our power is at 25th, so our power is still not the greatest. Pitching at 27th. Defense is not that bad. It's still 22nd though. And our speed is top 10 in the league. So I do like that speed factor quite a bit. Hopefully that helps us win some games. So we have the draft in 100 days. So let's go through these 3 games, and then we should be able to start scouting out the draft already at this point in time. Actually, these 2 games, because we have a 3-game set with Seattle to start off the year. Let's auto fix the lineups in AAA, and we do lose our first 2 games of the year, which kind of sucks, but oh well. I don't expect us to be a playoff team necessarily this year, but I do expect our team to at least have a better season than last year, and last year we had 66 wins, so if we could hit 70 wins, that would be great. That would be great for sure. So let's set up our scouting assignments here. We're going to do the same method as last year's, so let's start off with our pitcher scout, which our pitcher scout was Co last year. Looks like he's got similar ratings as last year, so we will get him to scout out some pitchers in each region for 3 weeks at a time. And then the other 2 guys will obviously be focused on infielding players. Ooh, we might have a player that's a one of those 99 potential guys. I really hope he's that good, because yeah, we might have a good draft ahead of us. And it's funny because Nick was literally talking to me in a Discord like yesterday when I was looking through this type of thing. He was saying we need a third baseman, and well, Ned Thompson is exactly that. I feel like though he might go before our pick because we do have 5th overall, but if this guy has 99 potential and is a very high overall, that might be an insane player. So obviously we're going to get him scouted out. And then we also want to scout out, I guess, the center fielder, because it looks like there's going to be a couple really solid players in this draft at least. So we'll get those 2 guys scouted out fully for the next week or next couple weeks, whatever it takes. Let's continue simulating. But there we go. Hey, look at that, 2 wins in a row. So we are 2-4 on the season. Let's get through these 2 games against Baltimore. Hey, we won 1, 3-5. That's not a bad start. Not a bad start at all. Reyna is not looking as good, and Thompson isn't looking as good right now. That kind of sucks. I was thinking those guys might be the really good players, but who knows. Got a couple more weeks before we got to change out that starting pitcher scout, because we're doing that every 3 weeks, I think I said, right? Yeah, I think it's every 3 weeks. Sparbori's been injured. Damn, that kind of sucks, but we'll go auto on that. And we are 5-9. Not too bad at all. Yeah, Ned Thompson's going to be really good. Ned Thompson is definitely something I would be looking at in this draft if he falls to us. He doesn't look like the best player out of the draft, so he might be on the lower overall spectrum, but in terms of the future, he might be an okay player. It's hard to really tell at this stage, but like he's going to be a high overall because he's going to be higher than a 63 likely if our scouts are right. And he should have a potential as high as a 95, but he might be just an 80 potential, which would not be that good. So I'm going to be interested on that front. And Reyna is not that good, so I'm glad I scouted out him as well, because obviously taking him would not have been a good thing for our team. We'll also scout out this Escobedo guy. We're going to just scout out almost all the top type of players. George Morales, he might be good, so let's scout out him as well. We could always use more outfielders, even though our outfield is already pretty good. I'll take a look at the third base in general after this week, just because third base is definitely a spot I would like to address going forward, because I don't know if Pip's going to be that guy for a long time. Todd Davies has been injured. Let's go auto on that. Sparbori is back. Let's go auto on that. And Davies is back. Let's go auto on that. And damn, our team is 10-11. Our team is 10-11. We are actually on 500 team right now at this stage. This is actually a pretty damn good start. Obviously, we could just randomly fall off, but I do really like our start to the season. So Escobedo is not really that good. And Morales is looking solid so far, which is nice, but he is 20. Let's go to third base because, like I said, we need to address third base. And we'll also look at some catchers, too. We'll scout out this guy, too. Cleveland Blair. Kind of a neat name, so why not? And I actually do need to change out our scouts region for the pitchers. I think this scouting method actually is not too bad. Because I think we did really good last year, so hopefully we do good again this year with the scouting method. Auto on Pete Tavares because that's not MLB. And damn, we lost every game that week, so that kind of sucks because we were like 500. Now we're 10 and 18, so much for that. Let's see, Morales. Yeah, Morales is solid. He's going to be an okay potential maybe if our scouts are right. Which, who knows if our scouts are right or not. This guy might have a high overall, so we'll also get Madero scouted out, even though he is 22. And then obviously we should get out some other guys scouted too. Cleveland Blair's looking like an interesting player, but I don't know if he's going to be that good. It's going to be tough to tell if this draft class is actually as good as it is. Hey, there's 4 wins in a row. We are trying to get ourselves back to being almost to 500 again. And then we lost that last game of the week, 14 and 20 now. We are not too far behind the Rangers at this moment, and also the Astros, so we're kind of in an interesting spot. I do like that. Medeiros is solid, but he's not going to be an insane overall. He's going to be an insane overall, probably out of the draft, or a good overall out of the draft, but he's not going to have an insane potential. So, and then Cleveland Blair, hard to tell on him, but he might be okay. But he's not really worth the 5th overall pick for sure. Let's get these catchers scouted out as well, because we do need a catcher, so we'll get some more scouted out. Because I want to see if I could find the best player in the draft, if possible. Sean Morstead is probably a good second baseman in this draft, because from what I'm seeing, there seems to be a decent amount of second base in this first round. So we got one more week, and then we will change the location, I think, again on our pitcher scout, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we're kind of a streaky team. We lost 3 games to start the week, then we won the last 3 games of the week. And some of them are in convincing fashion, 12-1, 8-6, and 10-1. So I do like that. Let's go back to scouting here and see what we're working with. Not too good on these guys just yet, but let's change our thing over to the East for 3 weeks. So all the way up to week 10. But yeah, hopefully we get a good amount of knowledge about this draft class. 19 and 28, damn, yeah, we're kind of falling off a bit, but I mean, at least I think this is definitely going to be one of our best seasons yet based on the start. Zamora is solid, but I wouldn't take him with a first rounder. Like, he could be an okay second round pick. He's going to have maybe a B potential, but he might be a low overall is the only thing. So he might end up going first round though regardless. Let's see what else we could find here. Anything else? Maybe Thomas Fontenot. There's also Derek Gilchrist. Yeah, let's go with Fontenot, scout out him. Yeah, this draft class isn't looking as good as I was thinking it would be. Which is unfortunate because it looked like it was going to be good with those first 2 players, and then obviously they weren't as good. Again, we lose the first 3 games of the week, and then we win 3 straight. 19-3 win over the Mets. That's impressive. I actually want to take a look at that box score for fun. Who is scoring in that game? That's almost as bad as the game last night. I guess the day I'm recording this is Sunday. The game I'm talking about is the Angels and the Rockies. So that's almost as crazy as that game. 8 RBI game for Steiner? Am I reading that right? Yeah, I think so. Steiner had 8 RBIs in that game. What the heck? That is outrageous. I don't think I've ever seen a player get 8 RBIs in a game. Is that like almost an MLB record? I'll probably look that up after this episode, but damn, that's insane. Let's change out Morse. Looks like it's not going to be as good of a draft, unfortunately. There's probably going to be some good starting pitchers, though. We should probably scout out, too, with these guys. So maybe we should scout out some pitchers with them, too. Probably a good closer there. Let's scout out some of these guys as well, because might as well get a general sense of these top 5 players. And we got one more week on discovering new pitchers, and then we'll change over to the other league Franco. That's nobody in the MLB. That's nobody in the MLB. Auto fix that. We are 26 and 34. I do like our season so far. We might end up not finishing last in our division this year. Yeah, there's a good chance we might not finish last in a division. We are now the 21st ranked team in the league. And let's change this over to international for the next 3 weeks. And Fontenot is okay, but he's not a early first round pick talent. Man, I wish I knew more about this draft class because it's hard to tell if there's going to be anybody super good. Let's get Almond scouted out fully too while we're at it because he might be solid. He might be like Osuna. He is a left-handed thrower too, so I do like that because we do have a lot of right-handers. So good to scout out those left-handers occasionally as well. Let's go another week. Auto on that. Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of our best seasons for sure. 29 and 37. Obviously, it's still well below 500, but we are definitely starting to pick up the pace a little bit. The guys in the Discord were predicting 60 to 80 wins, I think, this season. So you guys might be on par with that. Let's go back to scouting here. Yeah, this guy's going to be solid. Won Yan Ko. He's going to be a pretty solid pitching prospect. He might have a low overall, that's the only thing, but our scouts currently have him at number 2. But there's also Almont who might be solid too. So let's go to the later parts of this draft, see if we could find maybe a random steal here. Let's look for a 99 potential guy that we could scout out. Somebody that we might be able to snag in a later round that might go off the board. Let's see. Looking for a 99 potential Corey Rowley. He's 21. Is there anybody else, though? Because I do want to find some later round steals if possible. We don't necessarily need a closer, so I would prefer to look for somebody like this Carlos Cuevas guy. So we'll get him scouted out. And we'll get Almont scouted for one more week still. See how we do this week. Auto on that. 32 and 41. Still liking our season so far, even though we are last in our division. Almont, yeah, Almont's going to be good. Almont might be one of our picks, to be honest. Our scouts have him at number 1. There's also that third baseman that we were looking at too, though. So, Johnny Almont, solid player there for sure. If he is to fall to us. Let's go back to the later parts of this draft, see if there's anybody else to add to this list. Because we want to have this draft class scouted out as much as possible. See, there's a lot of guys that are pretty well scouted out here late in the draft too, so we're going to maybe find ourselves some steals in this one, just like last one. Like we took Kobayashi and he was a decent steal. Let's see, any 99 potentials, that's what I'm looking for. Richard Dooley, let's take him. Let's take him. He might be a closing pitcher, but might as well scout out him a little bit. And we'll go one more week of scouting, I think, or 2 more weeks maybe of scouting. Wow, 4 wins that week. We're up to 36 and 42. I'm liking that. I'm liking that quite a bit. Yeah, we could go one more week still. So we're going to go one more week, and then you guys could tell me who to scout out for the last week. But let's go one more week. And then we'll take a look at also our player stats in the MLB, because I am very curious on how good our players are doing, considering we're winning a good amount of games this year. 39 and 46, a bit before the draft. Love to see it. Let's go over to scouting here first. And Dooley's looking solid. He's going to be maybe more of a project player. And then Carlos Suarez is going to be a project player, but likely has a really good potential. So there's somebody that we could easily steal probably in the second round likely. We will remove both of them, but if you guys see anybody here that we have scouted out briefly that I could add to this list and we could scout out for one more week, let me know. Let's go to team rank. See if there's anybody that we need to scout out a little bit more. Maybe this Husby guy, but we don't really need a closer. We could use more closers maybe for the system, but not for the MLB yet. Seems like there's going to be probably a good closer in this draft. But I'll basically just get out or go through this entire team rank through the first 100. So you guys could tell me if there's anybody that we deserve to scout out a little bit more to find out if they're good or not. But yeah, looks like it's going to be an interesting draft. I don't think it's going to be as good of a draft for us as last year, but maybe we'll find some steals here. We do have 5th overall, though, so hopefully some of these players fall to us. Because it kind of sucks that we didn't win the draft lottery, but then again, I don't like having necessarily that pressure of the 1st overall pick, because if we don't do a good enough job scouting, then we might end up taking somebody that isn't really worth the 1st overall pick. So I kind of rather have almost like a top 3 to top 5 pick, just because the AI might make some dumb decisions. So okay, that's almost it for the top 100, and then we'll kind of look at our potential options for the 5th overall pick a little bit more closely, and then we'll take a look at our player stats for the MLB, and not for AAA and AA yet, but for the MLB. I am very curious on how everybody is doing at this point, because yeah, this is definitely going to be one of our best seasons, but I'm curious on like the individual stats more than anything. Okay, so I'd say it's probably between Johnny Almont, who looks like he's going to be a great starting pitcher. Always good to get another left-hander into our pitching rotation. There is also Ned Thompson, who we do need 3rd baseman. He's going to be solid, but I feel like he's going to be a bit lower of an overall. He might not have the greatest potential either, based on those future numbers. But we could still take him because we do need 3rd baseman. So I think it's probably between the 2 of those guys if one of them falls. But there is also like Won Young Ko, who's going to be probably pretty solid. And I think that's pretty much it for those players that we would take at that spot. Unless the rest of these guys are actually really good too, that we get scouted out for like the last week. But I'd say it's between Ko, Almont, and Thompson. Ko looks like he's going to be not that great of a player in the future, but he might be a solid overall. That's my guess. So Ko might be a bit of a stretch. But I'd say it's between one of those 3 players at number 5 likely. Unless there's another player that hasn't been fully scouted yet. But let's take a look at our player stats in the MLB so far. So let's go to start off with our pitching rotation for fun. And Garth Howe's off to a good start, 7-5 with a 3.54 ERA and a 1.04 WHIP. So he has hit that 99 potential now, which is crazy. Hopefully it doesn't start to decline randomly, but his ERA is higher than last year, so that's a bit concerning, but the WHIP is much, much better, so I do love that. 11 quality starts, and he has started 17 games. Love that as well. His FIP is higher than last year, so a little bit of a down year in a sense for him, but still, he is having a good year, all things considered. Gary McAllister apparently has been hot as of late. He is 7-7, surprisingly. 4.16 ERA at a 1.38 WHIP. In comparison to last year, it's a better ERA, it's a higher WHIP. Still not really sold on his numbers, but that FIP is the best of his career, so FIP-wise, he is improving. We then hit to the 3 wildcard players, which are all rookies. 2 of them have jumped up by 1 overall point, but Darren Poles, 7-6, 5.18 ERA and a 1.46 WHIP. Not super great. 7 games started. And 4 quality starts. Yeah, Darren Poles is not really MLB caliber, but we got to keep him in here until Osuna's ready. Pretty much. That FIP is also not that great. So, unfortunately, Darren Poles, not really an MLB pitcher. He would probably be better used as a reliever, my guess. But for right now, he's kind of a replacement for Osuna. Once Osuna gets ready, Osuna will take over a spot. But Bobby Hyde is the most interesting one kind of on this bottom rotation. He's not been good. He's not really MLB ready. He is definitely not, based on those numbers. He is developing, which is good, but he is having a rough time this year. 17 games started and 5 quality starts. Yeah, I probably should option him back down. If you guys think I should option him back down in the next episode, let me know, and then I could call somebody else up. But yeah, he's not had a good time. The 2 of these guys definitely struggling. And Brian Morris, probably the best of the 3. He's got a 5-6 record, a 4.2 ERA, and a 1.39 WHIP. 17 games started, 10 quality starts. Yeah, Brian Morris has been the best of the 3. So I think Brian Morris definitely deserves to stay up here. Yeah, that FIP is actually really good too. So yeah, Brian Morris has been the best of the 3. Bobby Hyde has been the worst of the three, and Poles hasn't been that great, but he's not going to get much better anyways. So the question is, do we send Hyde down and use maybe Dominguez, who's not really anything as a starter? I don't really know, but I do think we need to maybe save Bobby Hyde a little bit and get him some more time at triple. Gustavo Dominguez is doing good, it seems like, as a reliever. Jack Birch is really not doing good at all, I think. Yeah, Birch has fallen off a cliff since that season that he had a few years ago. That's not great. Goss has been terrible as a reliever as well. Oof. Oh, man. The relievers are not doing good. Bacon has been crap. Castillo. Actually, Bacon's been probably one of the better of the bunch. Castillo, not that great. Ken Robert is doing much better this year. I like to see that. Being used as a setup guy. He has been really good. So that's good to see. Rubel has not been good. And then Dennis Lake has been really good. Dennis Lake has been really good. That ERA, that whip is fantastic. Obviously, he's our closer, though. That FIP is insane. So I'm kind of glad I locked him up. So a couple of good stats in terms of the pitching rotation and also the bullpen. Let's take a look at our lineup now, because this is where it's going to get interesting. So, Anton Trevino is batting a .311 so far through 70 games. That is a great season for Trevino. So far, his OPS is a little tiny bit better than last year, but that average is much, much better. How good is the WAR? The WAR is good. Yeah, I'm really liking this season so far from Trevino. Hopefully he has a good second half as well. Pinheiro is not doing as good this year. He is falling off a lot in terms of production. He does have 29 RBIs, but batting a .235 from a .276 is not great. So he has fallen off a little bit, but at least he's still doing okay OPS-wise. But it is a bit of a rough time for Pinheiro right now. I could always change up the lineup a little bit. We also have Sixto, who's playing in the left field now, so I guess it did auto-change my lineup because I did have Sixto as a catcher originally. Has been really insane. Oh my goodness. This is why I locked him up, boys. This is why I locked him up. He's going to have a career year this year. 12 home runs halfway through the year. He might not hit 30 home runs, but he should have over 100 RBIs this year maybe. Or maybe close to it. But look at that average. What was I saying at the beginning of this episode? This guy's going to hit a 290 plus. And he's batting at .331. Almost a 1 OPS right now. But a .331 average is insane. This is why we had to pay him those big bucks. Yeah, he's having a killer season so far. So good stuff, Giancarlo. Pip, on the other hand, has been okay. Okay. He's up to an 84. His average is kind of similar to last year. So I still don't really like his average. But he has been doing much better since his second season. That year definitely was a down year for him, but he's been much better since. Then we have Ozzy, and Ozzy's been a machine again this year. He's not on the same home run trajectory, unfortunately. Might hit 26 home runs, might hit a little less than that. But he should hit 100 RBIs this year, I think, as well. He's batting a .308. So better batting average than any other year of his career except for his rookie season. And he's also got a really good OPS. So, yeah, another good year for Ozzy. Not a surprise, though. So that's good to see. Gary Steiner so far has been insane in terms of the RBI department. We did see that. I think he had an 8 RBI game. His batting average has improved quite a bit. So him and Pinheiro kind of changed spots a little bit in terms of that. Yeah, this is already his best season of his career. So good to see Gary Steiner starting to step up. We do need to give him a contract in the offseason, though. And then rookie Bill Pineda, how has he been? Kind of doing what I was exactly expecting. His average is not that good because he doesn't really have the good hitting in general. But he does have 9 home runs, 35 RBIs. He does have a .737 OPS, so that's positive. Yeah, not bad of a year, I'd say, for him so far up to this point. How much bases has he stolen and whatnot? He does have the speed. 7 stolen bases. Okay. He does have 15 doubles, 3 triples. Cuero has been really good so far. This guy didn't even draft, I don't think. But he's been really good this year as well. He's also up for renewal in terms of contract. But he's going to be really expensive. So maybe starting next season's when we use Sixto as our catcher instead. And then Bill O'Donnell is batting a .219. A .219, not good. He is still signed for a few more years, but at least he's not making a ton of money. But yeah, Bill O'Donnell is kind of one of these rougher players. He is starting to get some overall boost, which is good, but he's always been negative in WAR. And then we head to Ollie Gelman, who's been used more as a bench player, I guess. His average is down. That's why I'm not paying him yet. And yeah, his OPS is down. That's not great. Buster Cross, on the other hand, has been really good off the bench. Yeah, Buster Cross has been really good average-wise off the bench, but the OPS not so much. Steve Schneider has been also thrown to a bench role, and he has been pretty good in terms of average. This is way better than he would be normally, so he might end up just being a bench player for us down the road. But yeah, still not obviously sold on Steve. Fletcher Hoffman has been dropping apparently, and he's still been pretty much on the same trajectory as last year as a bench player. So there is our batters. One last thing I want to take a look at, because this episode is like 40 minutes long already, is league leaders. See if anybody's up there for us. Sixto is up there in batting average at the moment. Ozzy's up there in hits, same as Giancarlo. Double wise, we don't have anybody up there. Triple wise, nobody up there. Home run wise, nobody up there. RBI wise, Ozzy's number 5. He's just a little bit behind O'Neal Cruz, so who knows, maybe he finishes top in RBIs. Run wise, Giancarlo is tied for first almost with Austin Charles. He's only 1 point back. Trevino's up there in stolen bases. I like that. Giancarlo's up there in OBP or whatever you want to say. Slugging percentage wise, nobody up there. On base percentage or OPS, Sixto isn't up there at number 6, but Jonathan India is number 1. Let's take a look at other stats here. Lake's up there in saves. ERA wise, nobody's up there. Bobby Hyde is actually up there in strikeouts, which is surprising based on his record. Him and Garth Howe. Gary McAllister leads the league in complete games. Seems like he's always up there in complete games at the moment. Garth is up there in whip. Pitching more wise, nobody is up there. So Garth Howe might not be up there for the Cy Young this year, which is unfortunate. But Giancarlo Sixto might be up there for MVP. At the moment, at least. Let me take a look quickly at award leaders, and then I think that'll be it for this episode. Just want to see if anybody's up there for potential awards for us. Lake is up there for reliever of the year at the moment. That's nice. Golden Glove for pitchers. Gary McAllister, not really, kind of surprised on that. Interesting. Gardenias for first base wise. So this isn't just smaller awards, nothing insane, but we do have guys that might win some awards this year. Like Silver Slugger wise, Gardenias should easily win that. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the rest of the season and also the draft ahead. So there is that, and I think that's pretty much all I wanted to do. I think that's pretty much it. We are currently the 21st ranked team. I actually want to take a look, one last thing, sorry about this. I know this episode's going to be long. Team ranking wise, where are we ranked in terms of some of our stats? We are 11th in batting average, so our batting average has drastically improved this year. So that's a good sign. We do have 3 players over 300, so that makes sense. So we are getting better in terms of actually our offensive game. Yeah, our runs are going much better as well. Because the last few seasons we've always been like dead last in terms of all this type of thing. But right now we're top 10 in all those categories. Our speed game is also still as good as it used to be, it seems like. Not as good probably with Gelman on the bench, but still it's decent. Home run wise is probably our problem still, right? Yeah, we still aren't getting enough home runs because we don't really have that power game. We have more of that contact game, so yeah, that's where we definitely need to still improve in the future, is get more power hitters, because we're a good contact team, but we're not getting those like lengthy hits. So that's, I think, pretty much it. We've grounded into the least amount of double plays behind the Tigers. The Tigers have been insanely good on that, though. How about our team ERA? Yeah, also that's another thing that needs to be improved, is the pitching, but obviously it should improve hypothetically with the guys in the system that will be coming up eventually. Yeah, we're one of the worst, so pitching needs to improve, for sure. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Vancouver Rain Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the draft where hopefully we can grab ourselves a decent prospect. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what this team does for the rest of the season, considering we are pretty close to 500. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.